back to Room 237, and this is another review of a first-time blind Hulu watch. This is a movie that I actually knew about before going in. I hadn't seen a trailer or anything, but I have come across it on Wikipedia once under like upcoming movies or whatever. So I've seen the poster, I've scrolled past it a few times on Hulu, and I kind of had the idea of, oh, this looks and feels like Blumhouse, even before getting into it. And yeah, it came out last year. It's 2021's The Resort. Now, this was written and directed by, I think, a first time director. I could be wrong. Taylor Sheehan, if I pronounced that correctly. And there's Justin Sheehan, who also produced it, along with a number of people that produced it. Has a small cast: Bianca Hayes, Brock O'Hearn, which, if you don't know who Brock O'Hearn is, when you're watching it, you'll be able to tell right off the bat because he's this giant Jason Momoa looking guy, all the way down to the hair and the beard, that he does wear in a man bun. I guess he was like an Instagram model, helped popularize the man bun. Michael Vlamis, Michelle Randolph, and Dave Sheridan. Dave Sheridan was Doofy in Scary Movie, and he was also in Devil's Rejects. Now, this movie, another reason why I decided to give this a watch, even though I just had this inkling, this feeling, even just judging it on face value that I didn't think it was going to be good, is because it's only 76 minutes. It's very short. And so I was like, well, what am I really losing at 76 minutes, even if it is bad? And it's weird because it's one of those movies that it is fast-paced. It does feel 76 minutes. It doesn't feel long, but it does take forever to get to, and that is one of the issues. It's a very simple premise. It's a premise that could have been interesting, with a setting that could have been interesting, with some interesting ideas, and it does have some cool cinematography, effects. At first, I was thinking, like, is this another 80s throwback? And if it is, I got the idea that it was a supernatural film, which it is. It's about a haunted hotel in on this island off of Hawaii that, it was built, it was built on this sacred Hawaiian ground, and immediately there was all these disappearances and deaths, and it was shut down. Became a hot spot for hauntings. And the resort does look cool, but with the way the music was, and when the title comes up, and the fact that it's centered around these four friends, I was like, is this going to be like a supernatural slasher? Like, because it feels kind of like a slasher, the way the titles and everything are, the music. I can see there's going to be a body count building up. I really don't want to make this comparison because it's not fair, but it's more like Evil Dead. There is a body count, people are dying, but there's also possession that goes on, and I can't really call it a slasher, but these people are picked off one by one by a supernatural force, and possession is involved. It has a weird structure. There's a few, I don't know if you call it false openings, cold openings, or what. It opens up with these two security guards. Sorry, I'm wiping my nose so much. It started running all night, and as soon as I got home, it won't stop. These damn allergies. Starts off with these two security guards that are screwing around at this resort. They hear a noise, and then one gets dragged into the darkness. Then we cut to a group of friends saying they're going to Hawaii. The lead is the one played by Bianca Hayes, and she's the only one in this group of friends that, I guess, Brock O'Hearn, that is not annoying. Bronco Hearn doesn't have very many lines. He's just kind of there. He's just kind of the big strong guy with long hair. But the other two, Michelle Rudolph, whatever her name was, and Randolph, and Michael Vlamis, they were annoying, especially Michael Vlamis. He is definitely like the 80s comic relief character, the obnoxious one. He's the one that's constantly making jokes, being the loudmouth, being the asshole of the group. And even some of the dialogue, even early on, I thought was kind of an 80s throwback by design. Like, because the whole idea is the lead, Lex or Lux, whatever the hell her name was, played by Bianca Hayes. She's a writer, and I don't remember if she writes about haunted places or if she writes horror fiction and she just wants inspiration from this hotel. But Lex, it's her birthday, so they're gonna send her to. they're all gonna go to Hawaii. They found someone that will take them to the island because it's off limits. And she even shows them this video that I swear to God, she shows them this video that's about the resort, which looks cool. I mean, it has like this cool John Larroquette type narration over it. But the video she shows, the opening where it says like paranormal PI, the music, the effect of the title screen with like the tentacles and the sound effects. There is a horror narration, or like a horror story channel on YouTube. I don't know if it was Being Scared or Be Busta. Their older videos had that exact same opening. The same sound, same music, same everything. I was like, wow, they clearly must have stolen that. But Michael Vlamis' character, Sam, the asshole, he talks about something and then, like, well, the boogeyman's not real. Well, it's not the boogeyman you gotta be worried about. Well, then what is it? Very cheesy dialogue. I don't know if it was done on purpose to feel like, like a low-budget 80s cheesy slasher film. But anyway, she blows out the candles, and then we see her in the hospital. And she's answering questions to this homicide detective played by Doofy, Dave Sheridan. So it goes from security guards to birthday party to hospital with Bianca Hayes, Lex, in the hospital. And the whole movie is told through flashback. She's explaining the events of the film to Doofy. I'm just going to call him Doofy. And then we see it in flashback, which takes a little bit to get used to. It could be a decent idea structure-wise, except, by doing that, we know when things are going to happen. Because it gets to a certain point where she'll say, like, because there's this one specific haunted room in the resort, and they do make it. She's talking to Doofy, and she says, it was when we went to go leave the room that it happened. So when it cuts back to the group of friends at the resort, we know something's going to happen. So it kind of spoils it. It kind of spoils itself. But for most of the movie, for most of its 76-minute runtime, is them hiking to get to the resort. And, I mean, they stop to take a break at the waterfall, which does have some cool, like, tropical music and slow motion. This does have decent cinematography. There are some great overhead shots of the resort that do look really cool. The music I really do like. The music was done by John Finga's Starry. I say Starry because it's only one R, but and Adrian Kirchner did the cinematography. The music in the opening titles, which again looks very 80s, which is why I kind of sat back and was like, okay, gonna get another 80s throwback. That's cool. I got over that pretty quick, but that music, the music when they realize shit's gonna hit the fan, I like that music. It tries to be tongue-in-cheek, like when things start going south. The guy Sam even's like it zooms in on him, the music builds up, and he's like, this is the part in horror movies where I get pissed off. But anyway, cutting back. Swim at the waterfall. They take a break to talk about what they believe in, ghost-wise, death-wise. Then they make it to the hotel, and they're barely at this resort. They get there, they look around, they go to the room, and then they decide to leave. And that's it. They realize they can't find their way out through the hole in the fence that they came in. The security guards that we see in the opening of the film, they show up and we hear their death off screen. The first death, the blonde girl gets in the security truck. It locks itself, starts itself, drives right through the front of the building. It goes off the ledge into the courtyard. Sam becomes possessed. Oh, and also, I guess the main ghost of this resort is the myth or the legend of the half-faced girl, which in the beginning, when Lex tells this to Doofy, she says it was the half-faced girl. They're all dead. It was the half-faced girl that did it. So yeah, her death is really nothing, just like a possessed truck. Then Sam gets possessed, which at first, it was like this fast-moving CGI where he's standing up against the wall. Lex and Chris, big Aquaman-looking guy, go to approach him. Like, his head spins, and then his body spins around. It's like this really fast CGI. Attacks Chris, but Lex grabs a pair of scissors, stabs him, and then Sam's voice comes back through and he runs off. Now, there's parts where I wish the music wasn't there, which is when they decide to leave. They make it all the way to the fence, and Lex realizes she left her backpack in the room they were just in. So they go there, and there's this cool shot where it's like, imagine the doors open, they're standing through the hallway, and there's light in there, but it's dark in here. And off to the side here, we see the half-faced girl, where she's just kind of doing like one of these things, and then just kind of like scurries away off screen. The music lets us know she's there. I think it would have been creepy if there was no music. And then I think it's shortly after the truck goes off the ledge. The three of them look down this hallway. They see a support post with that half-faced girl kind of peeking around. And well, it starts off small, then grows tall and comes around the post. Again, there's loud music there that I think could have not been there. It would have been creepier. So the score, when it's over, a scene of them running or doing something, I think the music works. But during the scare scenes, I think it would have been creepier and scarier had the Sting music not been there. But eventually, but before Sam runs off, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I have such, I was going to say mixed feelings. They're not mixed. I don't like this movie. But there's elements that I do like. And where it started to get me was after Sam gets stabbed in the throat and his voice starts coming through like, why'd you do that? Help me. The half-faced girl is behind him, reaches around and just stretches his face. And it's all practical. The effects look really cool. But we don't ever really get to see the half-faced girl. And when we do, it looks like this poor CGI effect. So that was really disappointing. But then there's a scene in this room where it's all empty. And there's like plastic all around the walls. There's all these support beams. Sam is standing by one, just going like, Lex. And he starts like walking towards her. And this was a cool idea. The lights are off, but when they come on, it's like this purple kind of light. And every other time it flicks, we see that the half-faced girl is like either right up against his back or like back to back with him, and she's still doing this. And the closer they get to Lex, the more Sam starts doing that as she's like right behind him, as if she's controlling him. And his face is still removed. Again, the effects look cool. He knocks out Chris, stomps on his head. I think that was CGI. I don't know. It was too fast. Lex runs, and then she sees the blonde girl from the truck at the end of the hall, and she's slowly, creepily singing Happy Birthday, because that's... you have to have a girly voice singing some sort of childhood song in a creepy voice. And then this is where the movie lost me. And this movie was making me think of... It's very different in, genre and plot and everything, but the whole tropical kind of setting, it made me think of a movie, I think from 2011, called The Triangle, which I really liked. I haven't seen it since then. That's a movie that has a twist that people either love or hate. I really like that twist. Like, it feels one way throughout the whole movie, then you have that kind of twist. This film has that, and I don't think it worked at all. As she's singing Happy Birthday, she lights a match and then drops it. As she drops the match, everything turns white, as if they're in this non-existent plane. We see Lex screaming, and then we're back in the hospital, and she says, then I woke up here, and I don't remember anything. And at that point, I'm thinking, 76 minutes, are they really just going to say, like, they didn't have a way to get her off the island? That to me was such a cop-out. I mean, make your movie longer, put some effort into... Maybe if you shortened the hike a bit, you could have had more of the resort, which is probably my biggest issue with this movie. It's called The Resort, but it takes way too long of its less than 80-minute runtime to get to the resort. But that's not quite the twist. Doofy then goes to talk to one other guy. Well, he says on her phone there's no pictures of the resort. But she starts to look, and I think she looks at her camera, but Doofy's in the frame, and she notices veins all over his arm and hand, similar to how when Sam was possessed. She puts the phone down, and we see that Doofy is now possessed. And not only that, I think she runs out of the room or something. But when she does, she realizes that she's in that same room with the support beams and the tarps. She's back in the resort. And when she turns around, there's the half-faced girl screaming at her. And then we see Lex looking kind of demonic with rotten teeth. And she screams at the camera. Cut to black, end of movie. I guess basically saying, I don't know if it's like it just played this head game where she thought she was like gone, or if a ghost got to her and she turned into a ghost, and just as she's dying she imagined she was at the hospital. I don't know. It was so left field. It seemed like such a simple premise of, okay, these friends go to a resort. It's like a supernatural haunting movie, but there's going to be a body count, like a slasher, kind of, a small one. I mean, we don't see the other security guard get killed. I guess it's just implied. But, and then there's going to be possession of one of our main characters, kind of like Evil Dead, and start attacking our characters. Actually, two of them get possessed. So, I don't really know what they were going for. It did feel like an 80s throwback to some extent, on some face value. I mean, the music, the opening titles, the cheesy dialogue. The thing is, I don't think it's that badly made. I mean, The cinematography is nice. There are some great shots. It is kind of atmospheric when they get to the resort. You really get the feeling of how big and empty this place is. And it looks like a great location. You could have had a really cool either haunting movie or a slasher movie there. But either they just didn't write enough and they had less than 80 minutes to work with and they tried to make that twist work, and I just I hated the twist. I don't think the twist worked whatsoever. I think they should have just left that out. If they wanted to go with a twist like that, just cut out the hospital stuff and just tell it chronologically. In fact, I think the movie would have. It was definitely a disservice to have those hospital scenes because, again, like when she tells Doofy, it was like, when we left the room, that's when it happened. So then when we cut back, we know that's when something's going to happen. Of course, we don't know what, but. The acting wasn't necessarily an issue. I mean, yeah, the characters were annoying, especially in the beginning before the trip, but the acting was fine. I guess I bought the annoyance of these characters. I believed that they were that annoying, but so you had all these decent pieces of this puzzle. Again, good cinematography, good music, good use of the setting, even the idea of this urban legend with the half-faced girl. That idea is cool, but she's so underused. I mean, we see the security guard get dragged off. One girl is killed by the possessed truck. Sam is possessed and then stabbed by Lex. And even after she rips his face off, she just stands behind him. And we catch these small glimpses of her. And then when we actually do see her, it's really up close and shaky. And she looks very CGI. Uh, there. So I guess there's definitely potential here. There was potential for it to be good. But this is this is the most non-Blumhouse, you know, the most Blumhousey non-Blumhouse film that I've seen in a while. And yeah, this movie sucks. I mean, I can give it credit. There are things I can not necessarily praise, but can give some good notes to. But if they had just cut out the hospital, which I think if they had cut out the hospital, maybe the twist could have worked. Or if you just had that last bit, sort of condensed it to like that last bit at the end, maybe that could have worked. Even some of the actual like genuine scare scenes where we see the half-faced girl in the distance or in the shadows, it has the Sting music. And yeah, just a dumb ending, but it really did have a cool story and a cool setting and idea for a movie. Cool cinematography, nice music, but unfortunately, it all just fell flat. The writing is also pretty bad. Again, I don't know if they were intentionally trying to make it cheesy dialogue or cheesy writing, but it came across that way anyway. But yeah, despite even what small potential it might have, this movie just fell flat. And it sucks. Not a good movie. I didn't enjoy it. But it's not like I could get too mad because it's less than 80 minutes. It didn't really waste any time. But anyway, and also, it being less than 80 minutes, I got to make a video a lot shorter than I normally do. I try to make it even shorter than this, but oh well. So that's another blind Hulu watch, 2021's The Resort. It sucks. Thank you for watching.